What is going on, you guys? It is your boy Sooplex, and we are here. We are back for episode 5 of the Superplex podcast. I am your co-host, Tyler Suplex, also joined by my good friend, business partner, and buddy, co-host, Liam Crowley.
Business partner. Damn, I didn't know we were there. That's cool.
Yes, I mean, this is a business. I'm trying to run a business, Liam. We gotta
No, I
drop.
love it. I love it.
Hey, I'm Suplex. If you drop Tyler, we gotta drop Liam. Just make you Crowley now. It's Crowley.
Just Crowley. Interesting. What is if this is like late 2010s Vince McMahon WWE? I'm practically a mid-carder on SmackDown.
Oh man, speaking of mid card on SmackDown, I mean there was like little to no mid card acts that happened this week. There was a lot of stuff that happened this week. A lot of main event stories that happened this week. First with AEW, it was their 5th anniversary. Ospreay versus Ricochet. NXT, the debut on the CW. Then we got into SmackDown with the tag team ladder match, which I didn't see. And then WWE Bad Blood was yesterday. There is so much to get into. And guys, we're about to get right into it. But before we do, I need you guys to do me a favor and hit that like button. Because Nala here wanted to say hi. And I think that you'll make her very happy by hitting the like button and possibly subscribing if you have not already. All right, baby? Gotta get down now. Daddy's shooting a podcast. Anyway, Liam, you watched Bad Blood, right? What did you think of the show overall?
I sure did watch Bad Blood, and I loved this pay-per-view. And I don't want to say it surprises me because WWE tends to ball out with the B shows nowadays. But whenever there's a B show that's not in an international market nowadays, I kind of think in my head, oh, it'll probably be like, all right. No, Atlanta was hot. I love the 5-match structure. I thought it was very well paced. And again, this show was bookended with I don't want to say two of the best matches I've ever seen. The Hell in a Cell match was my favorite Hell in a Cell match I've ever watched. Seen ever. That Hell in a Cell match between Punk and Drew is my personal favorite Hell in a Cell match I've ever watched. It made me feel on a level that not many wrestling matches have been able to make me feel recently. And then the main event tag match was a lot of fun, a lot of aura, as they say. Like just having Cody and Roman on the same side made me feel a lot. And obviously the way the whole show ended and everything. All that is to say, Triple H put together a banger. And I'm stoked for Raw on Monday to see what the fallout is.
Yeah, there's a big cliffhanger that happened at Bad Blood, but we'll get to that towards the end of that review. I think first we do have to start from the top, Liam, and that was with Liam. I know, I knew when this happened. I said, "Oh, Liam's gonna have some choice words with Triple H putting this Hell in a Cell match on an opener." We've been talking about this for 3 straight weeks. I told Liam. Up and down, the main event is going to be the tag match. He said Triple H would make the right call. And I'm sad to say, he did not make the right call. I thought for sure the tag match should have went on last for implications of of there being, 2 big guys. But I'll get into that when we get to the main event. Because honestly, I was kind of let down by the tag match. Not so much what happened after, but the match itself, I was let down by. This opening match did not let me down. And for the quality of it all, should have been the main event. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Hell in a Cell. Let me just say this. People tend to go back and forth a lot on if CM Punk is quote unquote washed or should hang it up, given how many injuries he's had in the past few years, given that he's already had a pretty successful run in AEW and came into WWE and then got injured like in his first match. Maybe he should pack it up after this run or something. Like, we haven't even seen CM Punk in a great WWE match because he's only wrestled like twice. The Rumble, technically 3 times before this, like the Rumble and SummerSlam and Bash in Berlin. It's like, all right, well, he only had 3 matches, but like none of them been like, standout matches, standout performances. What is CM Punk going to offer at this stage in his career? Well, CM Punk went out there and put on, I think, one of the best matches of the latter half of his career. like AEW, WWE, that whole 2021 and now, I think that this might be top three. You can make an argument for it might be his number one. I think, number one might be a little toss up between his match with MJF and this match here, a little toss up there. But this was in there. I mean, Drew and CM Punk, they were hard hitting each other from the very get go. There was no shortage of weapons. You had steel chairs, you had toolboxes, tools in the toolbox, tables, at the leg of the table. Everything was being used, and CM Punk did say, I'm going to make Drew McIntyre bleed, and that is exactly what he did. Now, CM Punk bled first. And at first, I'm like, all right, it's a little bit of blood. But then the blood started pouring. And the thing about CM Punk bleeding, the visual of CM Punk bleeding shouldn't shock anybody if you watch his AEW run. This dude bled like once a month. And he's not even a woman. But the point of that being is that CM Punk bleeding on WWE television is insane to see because we don't see blood that often. Now, these days in WWE, you see a nosebleed here. Maybe Cody Rhodes getting attacked by The Rock. He'll bleed there. But, like, this was like blood pouring down his face. Referees aren't trying to stop it. Referees aren't trying to clean it up or nothing. Now, at one point they did, and thank God Drew kind of threw that shit away and said, "Yo, you're gonna ruin the effect if you do all that." Thank God Drew had that in the bag when he said that. But Punk's bleeding. It's dripping down his face. I'm like, oh shit, we got color. This is awesome. And then, about 5-10 minutes in, after all these dangerous spots, CM Punk whacks Drew McIntyre in the head with the toolbox, and he must have really got him good because Drew was like damn near leaking blood. And now we're not talking Eddie Guerrero leaking blood. Like he didn't cut an artery or something. But see, Drew got the Crimson Mask treatment. Let's put it that way. Drew had a Crimson Mask going on, and this was as much color that I have seen from WWE in maybe all of the 2020s, maybe even 2010s. I can't think of a bloodier match that's happened in the last 10 years. If you guys think of one, please let me know. But in the last 10, 13 years, I can't think of a bloodier match in WWE than this one right here. And not just the blood that made it fantastic, but the level of storytelling and all the bumps. I mean, Drew McIntyre, not just the toolbox spot, but there is one spot where Drew McIntyre goes for the Claymore onto CM Punk. Mind you, he done kicked out of one Claymore. Punk done kicked out of one Claymore. Drew done kicked out of two go to sleeps. But steps are right behind CM Punk. He goes for the Claymore. CM Punk ducks out of the way. And it looks like Drew's back is about to collide on top of the steps. But I think he jumps too short. And his lower back just collides with the edge of the steps. It is such a gnarly spot because it's his lower back. And listen, I'm like 20 years younger than Drew. Well, I mean, maybe 15 or 10. I'm like 10, 15 years younger than Drew McIntyre. And I'm almost certain if I took that spot, I don't know if I'm getting back up. You might have to wheel me out of that arena. So he's a champ for taking that spot. Although I don't think it might have been intentional the way he actually took it. But it was gnarly. At the end, CM Punk did win the match. He came out the victor, and he not only won the match, but I think he won the praise and admiration of everybody in that arena and everybody at home who may have been doubting CM Punk's abilities at this stage in his career. Liam, what was your overall thoughts on the match? I know I said a lot there, but what were your thoughts on the match?
The match rocked, plain and simple. I love when there is blood in a wrestling feud that warrants it. I can't stand violence for the sake of violence. Punk actually had a really good quote when he was being asked about WWE moving to Netflix and how Netflix allowing them to be unrated would change Monday Night Raw as a product. And he was like, sure, it'll give some freedoms here and there to drop some more explicit curse words or to have more blood and more violence, but those things need to be used very sparingly because it needs to happen when it makes sense. And there have just been a couple matches, as wrestling continues to expand. And I don't even want to just place the spotlight on AEW as being the bloodier promotion. Sure, it definitely is the bloodiest mainstream promotion out there. But sure, there's your GCWs, there's your other indies. Even New Japan tends to have a bit of blood every now and then. The point is, when I see matches within companies that ascend to a level of violence when the two guys have never even had a promo against one another. It's like kind of weird. And when you have something like this, where we've had 9 months built up of animosity, and also animosity like continuing to snowball from a level that was a little comedic at times. Like Punk and Drew were trading shots on social media that at times were just kind of like cheeky and like memeable and stuff like that. Towards the end of towards the build up to Bad Blood, it became very clear that this had gotten very personal and warranted a level of severe destruction. And man, like maybe it's the masochist in me, but like when Drew got busted open the hard way, I'm glad he's okay. He got 16 staples put in his head from taking that toolbox over the top of his skull. But man, he had a crimson mask that looked like mid 2000s JBL, Eddie Guerrero, John Cena, an era of WWE. Like that was an era of WWE that I watched to catch up on, but I never got to watch live. And so seeing these two guys who have built up one of the best non-title feuds, if not the best non-title feud in WWE's modern era over the course of 10 months, an unprecedented build-up, reach this level and showcase that physicality, I thought it rocked. And yeah, there was some wince-inducing spots, and fortunately I thought, even though we all knew Punk was going to win kind of going into it, I was worried that McIntyre would look weak as a result. I don't think he looked weak. I think, like you said, taking that brutal Claymore bump on the side of the steel steps mixed with taking a GTS with chain link wrapped around Punk's knee, it made sense for Drew to lose the way he did, and I don't think he looked weak in defeat. And as for where he goes from here, actually, I'm not going to answer that question because I remembered it's a mailbag question, so we'll get to that later in the show. But the point is, this match rocked, and it set a new standard for Hell in a Cell matches, and I hope this stipulation gets revitalized, as this is the Devil's Playground. This is the satanic structure. We bring this out when a feud needs to fully come to an end. Third match, this is it. This is how we go out. This is not a date on the calendar. Like, there have been some very random Hell in a Cell matches over the years. Ryback versus CM Punk never needed to be contested inside Hell in a Cell. I think John Cena, Randy Orton had a number one contenders match inside Hell in a Cell in like 2015. This is how Hell in a Cell should be utilized moving forward, and I couldn't be happier with the way these two put together this match.
Fantastic match. I would even say it's a 5-star match, and I'm not one to exceed my 5-star rating, so I think it stays just at 5 out of 5. Moving on from there, Nia Jax versus Bayley for the WWE Women's title, I believe. The Women's title and then the Women's World title. The whole Women's World thing is so stupid to me. But the WWE Women's title match between Bayley and Nia Jax was fine. This is now the third time we've seen Bayley and Nia Jax. I think they've done just about everything they could do with each other outside of maybe doing a special stipulation, which this was not that match. Nia Jax, Bayley, they duked it out for a bit. Tiffany Stratton, she teased a cash-in. Did not go to fruition. Nia Jax got the better of it. She got Bayley down. She won the match. Looks like there's some dissension that's been brewing for quite some bit between Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. I'm pretty sure at some point it's going to lead to Tiffany Stratton maybe cashing in on Nia Jax completely. And I think that will lead us into a babyface run from Tiffany Stratton. As of right now, I think this is still a storyline that's brewing. I think we probably going to go into the Rumble before we see like a actual cash in from Tiffany. Maybe like even WrestleMania. Who knows? I mean, we just did a cash in this year. I think you want to space out WrestleMania cash in, so I will probably do that at the Rumble at the earliest. Oh, I wouldn't say latest, probably the earliest again. But yeah, Nia Jax retained, and I'm hoping we move on to somebody else because the Bayley Nia Jax been going on for the duration of the summer. Nia needs some new opponents. Liam, what were your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, it was fine. Bayley, this is the first time I think they wrestled singles since the SummerSlam match. Nia Jax, I have to admit, I got to tip my cap. She feels like a dominant champion. They've done a really good job at making her be the monster of the women's division. You know, again, I I got to call a spade a spade. Like, I was not a fan of Nia Jax during her first run in WWE. I, like many people, kind of wrote her off as being dangerous in the ring, not working safe, not just being entertaining as a whole. And whatever they've done to revitalize her, whatever she's done, honestly, like this is the work that she's putting in. Got to tip my cap. Yeah, she feels like a big deal. And this storyline with Tiffany Stratton is awesome because it's a nice slow burn for the women's division, which honestly the women's division has done a good job in recent memory of doing these slow burn storylines. Bayley with Damage Control, Charlotte and Rhea had like a very long running storyline that dated back to WrestleMania 36 that culminated at WrestleMania 39, and now we have another one to just kind of slowly build up month after month, and they don't need to pull the trigger on the cash in too soon. I like when the briefcase is on TV for a while, and Tiffany Stratton being that variable of when is she going to strike, I think is a interesting layer to add to Nia's reign. So not a lot of analysis to add. A decent footnote in the title reign that is Nia Jax's.
Yeah, Nia Jax. Do you foresee another opponent for Nia Jax in the next coming months going into? Well, Crown Jewel is the next pay-per-view. I know, we can talk about this. I don't know if it was before Damian Priest and Finn Balor or after, but we can talk about Triple H's huge announcement, which I didn't know what it was going to be. Triple H got down to the ring. We all saw a title with a black tarp over it. I assumed, this is the introduction of a women's mid-card title. There's been a lot of conversation about that. NXT's already already jumped to it with their Women's North American Championship. I said, okay, maybe this is the Women's IC, Women's US, who knows? Maybe a new lineage completely. Triple H takes it off, and it is a 15 karat or 36 karat or something Crown Jewel Championship that will be exclusive to only that show. Pretty similar to the Greatest Royal Rumble in 2018. And it will be determined in a champions versus champion match for both the men and the women. The Universal Champion will be taken on, Triple H said WWE Champion, which I found to be very interesting. Could be his own lingo, but I think it might be something else. WWE Universal Champion versus the World Heavyweight Champion. And for the women, it will be the WWE Women's Champion versus the WWE Women's World Champion, which, again, stupid as hell. So, as of right now, as we're talking, and I think it's probably going to stay this way because I don't see the titles changing hands from now until November 2nd, which I believe that's when the show is. That would be Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan, and that would be Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. Now, both of those matches, ideally, sound really good. The only thing about doing champion versus champion matches is that one of these champions has to get pinned. And when one of those champions gets pinned, usually that's a big deal, and that leads to a championship match for the other person down the road. But when that person also is a world champion, it doesn't really work. So I guess the cop-out is, instead of you getting a title match, you're going to get this temporary one-night-only championship. Apparently, it's supposed to be a big deal. I don't think anybody gives a shit unless maybe you live in Saudi Arabia where the title is going to be contested in. But I don't think anyone else really cares. I haven't seen anybody like losing their mind about it. Liam, what are your thoughts on the announcement of this championship? What it entails?
I don't like championships that are glorified trophies. They could have easily had this belt just be a trophy. I don't like how the Owen Hart tournament has championship belts. I don't like how the Continental Classic became a championship. I don't like how the Greatest Royal Rumble had like a title. It can just be a trophy. That's all this is. If you're not going to defend it, make it a trophy. It's that simple. However, I do like having the champion versus champion trope every now and then. This is tough because, yes, someone has to take a loss, but at the same time, another person gets to take a win. And if you give Gunther like that win over Cody, how much does that elevate the world's title? And if you give Nia Jax, who I believe will end up beating Liv Morgan, that win over Liv Morgan, how much does that elevate the women's WWE title and also elevate Nia Jax as a champion? Yes, it can do some damage here and there to the other champion, but I think that they're, because they haven't done champion versus champion since, I want to say, Survivor Series 2021, maybe 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2021, because that was pre-War Games. It's been a while since they've done this. I think the champions can afford to take a loss, and I look forward to hopefully having some surprise results and definitive results. Don't do anything cheap. Don't do any interference. Just give us a definitive win. Also, too, Cody has plenty of reason to take a loss to someone like Gunther right now, because Gunther has been dominating. His head has been on straight, and Cody's main priority has not been his title reign in the past like 2 months. He's been focused on other things. So I think it's going to be very easy to have a storyline reason for why Cody could lose here, because his eye isn't on the prize. And on top of that, too, I know what you said about when someone pins the champion, they should get a title shot. Because they are currently a champion, they don't need to execute on that. However, it's a great excuse to, down the line, the same way that Sami Zayn getting a world title shot right now is bred off the fact of, well, hey, I beat you for the IC title in April, therefore I should get a shot when you are now champion. Whenever Gunther or Cody or Nia or Liv lose their championship and inevitably switch brands at some point, 6 months to a year to multiple years down the line, they can take this victory that they get at Crown Jewel and use it as reason to go after the other champion way down the line. Long-term storytelling. Triple H knows what he's doing. I think this is going to be okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. And like I was saying earlier, champion versus champion, I'm not super crazy or super keen on the idea. Now, I do realize WWE did do this in Survivor Series in years past. So them bringing it back isn't a foreign concept at all. But, one of the champions has to take the pin. I can easily see Gunther pinning Cody. Now, Cody and Gunther have history. 2 Royal Rumbles straight. They've been in that either the final 2 or the final 4. So they have some history with each other, which, you could play up on that. And I think 100% Gunther should be beating Cody Rhodes in that match. Cody really doesn't gain anything from beating Gunther. And Gunther has a lot to lose from losing to Cody. With Nia and Liv, that can go either way, honestly. Liv can pin Nia. She benefits from it. Nia can pin Liv. She benefits from it. Whatever happens. It's really just Cody Gunther, how that happens. That's really going to be the thing to watch. But, yay. Crown Jewel Championship. All right. We move on. Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan for the WWE Women's World Championship, with Dominic Mysterio having over top of the, well, wasn't the ring this time, it was over the ramp? Yeah, over the ramp in a shark cage, which I think was a little bit less effective because normally it's over top of the ring, and you can't do that when you have a Hell in a Cell that's over top of the ring already. So they had to improvise to put the cage at the ramp. But, I feel like the whole psychological aspect that this person's over top of you and something can get tossed down, that psychological edge it has over the person is completely eliminated when they're trapped outside of the ring. It's no different than there's somebody backstage. Okay, Dominic Mysterio, visually, you can see him, but he can't do anything to you. Unless Dominic has, the Dak Prescott fucking arm and can just hurl something over to Liv Morgan. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So, in this match, that whole concept I feel like it didn't matter. I mean, we got a really scary, cool spot where Dominic Mysterio kind of busted out of the cage and, I guess his leg was chained to it and he fell face forward, but the chain stopped him. And the way it looked, we didn't know his leg was chained. So I thought he was falling face first to the mat. I went so hard because I was really scared this guy's about to take a nasty ass fall. But we got the sight of him dangling, so that was cool, I guess. Ask me what happened in the match itself. I couldn't tell you. It's a blur. It's a nothing burger. This match lacked a lot of substance. If Liam can recall some of it, that'd be awesome, but I really can't. All I could tell you is that Liv Morgan retained due to an interference from the returning Raquel Rodriguez, which the crowd didn't really seem to care about. And, I don't know how many people watching this actually did care, honestly. But Raquel Rodriguez is back. Her and Liv Morgan have history, former tag team champions. She gets to be the heavy for Liv. I feel like nowadays Raquel Rodriguez is always slotted into this heavy spot. It's like, all right, when you're a tall woman, tall muscular woman, it's so easy for you to get slotted into the bodyguard spot. Raquel, has she been WWE Women's Champion? I don't think she's been that. I think she's been tag team champion like multiple times with different people, but I don't think she's been Women's Champion yet.
She was NXT Women's Champion, so she has had a
Raw and SmackDown.
Title.
Raw and SmackDown.
WWE technically counts it. WWE counts Charlotte Flair's NXT title reign when she went back from the main roster. They count that as a part of her total world title reigns.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't, because if they did, she would be a 16-time champion already. She's been I'm telling you, bro, they don't. Because if she did, she's already a 16-time champion. They don't count her NXT runs.
Right now.
All right.
Fact check this right now.
All right, Frank Mir. Go ahead and fact check.
Go ahead and
fact check me real quick.
I genuinely
I'm almost certain.
Egg on the face.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they don't count it, because if they did, she would be a 16-time champion. She's already a 16-time champion. They don't count it.
6-time Raw Women's Champion.
Okay.
7-time SmackDown Women's Champion. That's 13 total. Right? That's 13 total.
Yeah, go ahead.
2 NXT Women's Championship reigns. That's 15.
That's 15. Now, wait a minute. She's a Women's Tag Team Champion, too. She's 2-time Women's Tag Team Champion.
But Women's Tag Team Champion doesn't count for
it does. What are you talking about? She's a champion.
What?
It counts. She's a champion.
Tag title reigns do not count towards world title reigns.
They don't say, oh, Charlotte Flair, 16-time world champion. They just say 16-time champion, bro.
They say John Cena is a 16-time champion, and by saying that,
no, they say 16-time world champion.
No, they not every time.
Yes,
they say John Cena is a 16-time champion.
I mean, not every single time verbatim do they say world champion.
Oh my god,
bro!
We're not doing this,
Do I have to fact check you? Okay, hold on 1 second, because I'm almost.
Oh no. This is you being dumb right now. This is no.
Yes.
Her tag title single reign. She was a 1-time women's tag champion with Asuka. Is not counted. And when people refer to Charlotte as a 15-time champion, they're calling it for her singles title reigns. We're not doing this right now. We're not wasting time on this. My mind is gonna turn to mush if I have to debate this.
You know what? Maybe you can gaslight me into believing that for right now. We'll move on. All right. So, anyway, Liam, what were your thoughts on the women's title match between Liv and Rhea?
It's a bummer because this story's been so good, and I don't even want to say the match was bad. It came on a show where the crowd was bound to get exhausted at some point. The Dominic Mysterio spot where he fell out of the cage and was hanging by his ankle was terrifying, and the finish was kind of meh because the crowd was never going to react to Raquel Rodriguez like they would react to other returns on this show. So, yeah, fine. I hope the story's not totally over, but it feels like next we'll do Rhea versus Raquel, and Liv Morgan will kind of go off and do her own thing. So, it was meh, but again, I don't think it really hurt the story tremendously or anything.
Yeah, it was alright. Oh, before we get into the main event, I do want to mention one thing because it kind of set me off a little bit. During the championship introduction Triple H did, Gunther came out to the ring, and Gunther's kind of talking about Cody loosely. He sees Goldberg in the crowd, and he starts talking about how, how I said you were my favorite wrestler growing up? I lied. Ha ha ha. And this prompted, I don't know what else he said, but this prompted Goldberg to hop over the apron, and hop over the barricade, and they started jaw-jacking each other. And I just had the biggest eye roll of all time because some of you know this if you watch me. I don't like Goldberg. I've never been a fan of Goldberg. I don't know him as a person, but as a wrestler, I've never cared for him. Never have. I don't think I ever will. Goldberg has been on my shit list for multiple years for the amount of people he has bulldozed over that he had no business doing in 2016 when he beat Kevin Owens, in 2021 when he beat The Fiend, both times to be Universal Champion. He's put over some people, but he has won a lot of times when he had no business winning. And I have not seen Goldberg wrestle for the last 2 years, and I've been perfectly fine. You have never once heard me say, "Oh man, I wish Goldberg would come back and wrestle Gunther." Never said this. I never wanted Goldberg to come back and wrestle anybody. I'm fine with him staying retired, but obviously this has to be a tease because I don't know why they would go this far with these two jaw jacket and separating and all this stuff if they weren't leaning towards something. You would think it's happening at Crown Jewel, but if they're doing the champion versus champion match, it can't be there. So I don't know exactly where they will be doing this. But I said it on stream and I'll say it again. If Goldberg pins Gunther, I am turning the show off and I will not be returning for a very long time. Don't play in my face, Triple H. Don't threaten me with a Goldberg match like this. I don't like this at all, and I resent you even putting the possibility in my face, honestly. Liam, what's your thoughts?
That's a lie. You won't quit watching WWE. You'll be back the next day.
Oh, don't go there, Liam. I already dropped the I don't like wrestling anymore. You think I'm playing? I'm only one more.
Yes, I do. You know why? You know why I think you're playing? Because we're talking about wrestling right now.
I'm only one pissed off right away, Liam. Don't play with me.
Okay, well, I will agree with you here. Goldberg, beating Goldberg in 2024 means nothing. He's only has like put over other people, in like the past couple of years, like the Drew McIntyre match, the Roman match, the Bobby Lashley feud. I quite enjoyed the Bobby Lashley feud. That was like his last program that I thought was fun. But yeah, I don't want to see Gunther versus Goldberg. I don't care about it. I heard some people talking on Twitter like, oh no, what happens when Sami Zayn wins the world title? So it's Sami versus Cody, and Cody can get an easy win at Crown Jewel, and they also do Gunther versus Goldberg at Crown Jewel with no title on the line. I really hope they don't do that. If Gunther
loses to Sami, I think I might also lose my shit. That might be my 13th reason if he loses to Sami this early. I'm not gonna.
I know you don't rock with Sami, but Sami should be world champion at some point.
Whoa! Okay. Okay, you saved yourself there.
Oh God! Oh no! We have so much to get to, Tyler. I got to stop opening these rabbit holes. Sami, before he retires, come on.
Yes,
even if it's like a 1 day reign.
Before he retires, that's fine. But during Gunther's reign, he should not be beating Gunther. I will die on the hill.
Not Monday. Monday would be way too soon. I agree with you.
Not at all.
But yeah. What I'm more excited about Goldberg is not Bill. It's his son Gage. That dude is sizing up real quick. I believe he plays football at Colorado. And if he wants to wrestle, I think that would be a really cool legacy wrestler to have if and when that time does come around. But also, too, I will say, I don't really care for Goldberg that much. But I did love the Legends presence of people who are like from the Atlanta area at this show. Like we got to see, they're really borrowing from UFC. And I love how they do this now in this TKO era of showing people ringside or it's ringside in wrestling, not cage side. Sorry. Ringside, X-Pac was there, and I think they showed, oh my God, they showed Scott Steiner was awesome to see.
Yeah,
Mickey James was there.
That was cool.
Whole bunch of Atlanta rappers like Lil Baby, Metro. I saw Lil Yachty was backstage wearing the WWF Attitude shirt with Triple H. Quavo, like I loved that presence because it just made the show feel so much more prestigious. Like this is a B show happening at the beginning of October, in between Big Four pay-per-views, and it felt massive because of the celebrity presence and the presence of legends. And whether you like Goldberg or you hate Goldberg, him showing face on a WWE show after everything that has happened in between his last WWE appearance, because he's talked a lot of smack about WWE and his frustration with the regime changing and how if Vince was still in charge, he would probably still do Legends matches here and there. And even Triple H just raising his hand, I was like, okay, look at that. Like Triple H once again showing that he's always going to do business first and personal shit second. And he was able to mend his fence with CM Punk very clearly. He was able to mend if there was ever a fence with a broken bridge with Goldberg. I'm going to stop talking about this now because there's no need to keep talking about Goldberg, but I thought the segment was fine.
Drifting off to sleep, honestly. Anyway, now let's get into the main event, which is what I think a lot of you have been waiting for us to talk about. That is the tag match, and Liam might be seething just thinking about this main event now. Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Before I get into the match, let's talk about these entrances, because I think this is something that I think is worth highlighting a little bit. So, the first team that comes out is the team of Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. They come out together. Cool. Whoop-de-doo. They came out together. I love you, Solo! And Solo's just standing there menacingly. And then we have the entrance of the WWE Universal Champion, Cody Rhodes. Now the band comes out and they're playing Cody Rhodes. And at first I'm like, someone in my comments said, shouldn't the champion be making the entrance last? And I said, yes, they should, but never forget who the real Universal Champion is. He may not be actively holding the belt, but Liam, me and you both know who the real Universal Champion is. Because WWE makes it
don't rope me into this. Do not rope me into this. Cody Rhodes is the champion. He pinned Roman Reigns 1, 2, 3 at WrestleMania.
Hey, listen, I love Cody. You know I do. But man, WWE makes it very apparent who the real main eventer on SmackDown is. They damn sure made an appearance tonight. Because Cody Rhodes, he got the band. And I don't know what happened with production, but all I heard was, wrestling has more than one royal family. And then it stopped. And then the band's like, okay, let's start. And then you hear, bum, bum, wrestling has more than one. It happened for a second time. And the crowd's looking like, okay. So then Cody comes out this time. And the band, they were on point the first time without the theme song. But then they were all off when the theme song started. They were just off cue with the band and everything. Cody comes out with the mask and everything. It's cool. Pyro's going. I'm still wondering, Cody should be coming out second. But again, we know who the real world champion is in this situation. So Cody comes out, right? Now we gotta wait. He's basking in the audience. A lot of entrance time for this match, by the way. I think this entrance took up like maybe 10 minutes collectively between all four of these guys. A little bit too long. We gotta chill with that. But I'm also gonna talk about something that took a little bit too long as well. So then Roman Reigns comes out. Now Roman Reigns has to have similar treatment to Cody Rhodes. He has a whole orchestra, violinist. He has. I saw a clip on TikTok of some lady doing the drums, but she wasn't drumming at all. She was just kind of pretending. That was actually comical. Also, funny thing about this production of this entrance is that the theme song was so loud that if the violinist and the trumpets and whatever orchestras was going on, I couldn't hear them. I couldn't hear any of the actual orchestra because the theme song was just so loud. So it's almost like they had no business being there. They were just there for a show. And then on top of that, the pyro, I don't know if Roman just walked too damn slowly, because it's probably that. You know, Roman likes to take his time, but he took way too long this time because Roman's walking and the pyro goes off. He doesn't even do the one-up pose yet, and the pyro's going off. And then as the pyro ends, he puts the one up, and the camera does the pan up like it usually does when the pyro goes off, but it already went off. It already happened. It's like, okay, I don't know what's going on in the truck, but we gotta make sure this is fixed come Crown Jewel. So anyway, Roman makes his entrance, and now they both were in the ring. Now this was making me mad because I didn't clock it exactly, but I am almost certain from the time these two men entered the ring to the time that they started locking up took like 5 to 7 minutes of nothing but staring down. Cody and Roman talking, oh, do you want to go first? No, I'll stay on. Oh, how about I go first? No, I think I'll go first. I want to take on Jacob. Oh, I don't know. Mind you, Jacob and Solo already done figured this shit out, been on the apron for like 2 minutes. Meanwhile, Cody and Roman are still talking to each other. I'm like, if one of y'all don't just fucking get on the apron and start wrestling, then it's who is it? Was it Roman and Solo? They're staring each other down. Roman's doing they're having the aura off, as I called it on Twitter. They're having an aura off right now. First of all, Solo doesn't have any aura to go up against Roman Reigns, so that wasn't really that possible. But they're looking at the crowd. They're staring at each other. They're trying to do a Rock and Hulk Hogan spot, and it just isn't working. And then they start locking up. And then they stop. And then Roman's pandering. And then they start going at it again. Cody gets tagged in. Then Cody has to look at the crowd. Oh, crowd's clapping. Then they lock up, and then they stop. This was like fucking 5 minutes. I was getting so frustrated. I'm like, please wrestle. Please. I understand we are in a day and age where wrestling is cinema. It's all about the moments and the spots and the glitz and the spotlight. But like, can we not lose sight that this is a wrestling show too? Like, well, it's like, I know it's not late. It's 9 o'clock, but please, let's go. So the match happens, and I'm not gonna lie, there was not much substance to the match. The match itself is also kind of a nothing burger. Stuff happened. There was some hot tags from Cody and Roman, but Solo Sikoa wasn't doing anything substantial. Jacob Fatu, he carried some of the workload on his end. He and Roman went up against each other a little bit, but not enough to like give you all what they can do. There was a table spot. There was some stuff going on outside with the barricade breaking and all that. Okay. So, Roman Reigns gets the spear on Solo Sikoa. Now, we already have Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa. They're interfering in a match. It's commonplace for the Bloodline to come out and interfere, right? So now the referee's down. I'm assuming the referee's down by this point. What else is new? Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, they're out there. They're trying to stop everything. Sooner or later, at some point, Roman Reigns hits a spear on a Solo again or something. Or I know Solo goes to stab Roman with the thumb. He gets pulled out, something along the lines by a guy in a hoodie. It's not Liam Crowley. I know Liam's in a hoodie right now, but it's not him. It's a guy with a bandana on, and he takes down the hood, takes off the bandana. It's Jimmy Uso. The crowd loses their minds. They're like, oh my God, it's Jimmy. And next thing you know, Roman gets distracted. Superman punch, spear from Roman. 1, 2, 3. Solo Sikoa gets pinned by Roman Reigns. Now, I'm not pissed that Solo got pinned. I'm just finding this hilarious that we, the audience, are led to believe that Solo Sikoa is supposed to be the new tribal chief. He's taking Roman's spot. He's supposed to be the new big bad on SmackDown. Meanwhile, Solo Sikoa done got pinned by Cody at SummerSlam, then got pinned by Cody again in on SmackDown. And now he got pinned by Cody for by Roman Reigns this time. This is now the third time this dude's got pinned, and he's the tribal chief. He's the tribal chief. I'm supposed to believe that this guy's a top heel on the brand, and he can't pick up a win on his own. He can't pick up a win with a tag team partner. It's one thing for Jacob to get pinned, which I didn't think they were going to do, but you pin Solo again? Bro. After the match, Solo and all of them, they all try attacking Cody Rhodes. Roman and Jimmy are outside the ring. Jimmy's like, yo, we gotta go. We gotta help. Roman's like, I already did my part. I don't really need to go and do all this. But Jimmy's like, come on, bro. Let's go. Let's go help him. So they decide to go help Cody out. They fend off the Bloodline. And now it's Cody and Roman. Roman picks up the Universal title. And he hands it to Cody Rhodes, but he's making it very apparent there might be a third matchup happening in the future. I don't quite know how I feel about a third matchup between these two happening, but there's a third matchup happening in the future. And then the lights turn blue before The Rock's theme song hits, so like it was only 2 seconds, but like we kind of knew right off the bat. But then The Rock comes out. The Rock comes onto the apron, makes his presence known with his People's Championship, because he has to be a champion too. And he stares down Cody, Roman, and Jimmy in the center of the ring. He throws up a 1, a 2, and a 3. He cuts his throat, and he walks to the back. He cuts an E-Fed promo on Instagram that I won't go over just yet. But, yeah. That was a lot. Big cliffhanger ending. Big match. Liam, I know I covered a lot. I covered almost the whole thing, but what are your thoughts on the match and everything that happened between that?
Well, something I wanted to say from the jump was with the Cody Rhodes entrance, wrestling has more than one royal family. I said wrestling has more than one royal family. That was my headcanon. They didn't. My headcanon is no, they did not mess it up. They were just like, no, I said.
In case you didn't hear me the first time.
Anyways, again, I was texting my friends during this match. I
Damn, it
really
wasn't that
made
good,
peace
huh?
with the whole. No, man, I don't like to watch wrestling alone. Like it's nice. It's nice to have like a community. I mean, I was texting my friends in a positive way.
I don't know.
Me and my friends from home, we have a wrestling group chat, and we're just talking about how monumental this match felt. They do a really good job of communicating star power and when stuff really means something. And I made peace going into this show that, you know, the match order was going to be the match order. And honestly, too, I'm grateful that Punk and Drew opened instead of what were in the middle or were second to last or something, because the crowd had the most energy for Punk and Drew because it was the very first match. And even if it didn't get the closing spot, it's still the main event in my heart. That being said, this match being in the main event slot, the way that they like, you know, manipulated the crowd a bit by who's going to start the match, who's going to get the tag, Roman and Cody being on the same side and kind of staring at each other, whether or not they trust each other, it allowed the crowd to get invested again after a show that, you know, again, 5 matches, nothing too crazy, but still, these are 3-hour shows. Like by the time we get to the main event, you tend to be fairly tired. And this show did kind of push close to 4 hours. I think it wrapped around like 9:30, 9:40 after starting at 6. All that is to say, the match itself was fine. I wasn't too thrilled with the results, but the fact that Rock closed gives me optimism that we might be going quicker in this storyline than I thought, in the sense of who knows when The Rock appears next. Like, is this a one-off of him just reminding of his presence and we don't see him again until Royal Rumble season, or is he going to be on TV this week? Like, we genuinely do not know. Something I thought was very interesting was Solo Sikoa was caught by fan cameras in the crowd when Rock came out saying to either Tongaloa or some other member of the Bloodline, it's all a part of the plan, referencing The Rock being on stage. So this makes me think Rock is aligned with the new Bloodline, which is cool.
No, hold on.
No, Tyler, you just spoke for 8 minutes straight. Let me get my shit in.
Okay, go ahead.
I got stuff to say.
My bad. Go ahead.
If Rock is aligned with the new Bloodline, again, I understand they're not cool. We don't like Solo. Jacob Fatu rocks. Tama Tonga's cool, and Tonga Loa is a walking meme. But if Rock is involved, I think it ups their stock significantly, and it allows the Bloodline story to feel a lot more even again. When right now it feels so one-sided with one man, that being Roman, being so clearly tipping the scales in his favor against like a group of 4. What else was there? I kind of glanced over The Rock returning. That moment meant so much to me. We had people over our house. We had a little housewarming party on Saturday, and everyone was chilling on our roof deck, and I left the circle to go downstairs because the main event was ending, and I was like, I think The Rock's coming back and I got to see it live. And then I tossed it on my Instagram story for anyone who follows me on social media. Chills. That's how real it is to The Rock. That's how I felt. So it was awesome to have The Rock back, specifically the final boss version. I love that he's invested in this storyline. I had my doubts. I thought that he was going to come back for a one-off at Mania and then just kind of go on his way, but no, it's clear that he's got the itch again, he's got the spark, and he's here to tell a story, which is really cool, because most legends come back and it's like, hi, I'm a legend, and I'm going to face you, and the whole story is going to be about how we never thought we'd see this match, and it's a big dream match happening. But no, The Rock is doing genuine character work in 2024. Like, who would have thought we would ever see this? It's awesome, it rocks, and no pun intended, and I'm stoked to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, listen, on your point of Solo Sikoa saying it's all a part of the plan, I didn't see this clip, but here's what I want to say about Solo Sikoa and The Rock. If The Rock is the higher chief, which I think he is the higher chief, he's over Roman Reigns. If by this logic, where Roman Reigns took one loss at WrestleMania, and Solo Sikoa deemed he's not worthy of being tribal chief anymore, then by this logic of Solo Sikoa taking 3 big losses, The Rock needs to boot his ass out of this position of being fake tribal chief and tell him, give me the Ula Fala back and get to the back of the line, kid. Because at what point do we say that Solo Sikoa is a lost cause? Like, at what point is it a lost cause that you're trying to get this guy at a status, but you're not booking him in the place where he is at that status? You could book him in all the main event segments that you want. You could book him on the main events that you want. But if A, he loses his big matches, and 2, he's in a pairing where his underling is a better wrestler than him, and number 3, he's underneath of Cody Rhodes as the champion and underneath of his cousin, who the fans are waiting to beat Solo Sikoa, then what place does Solo Sikoa have as being the tribal chief? Now that The Rock's back, The Rock should just boot his ass out. I don't know. Man, what do you think?
It's a really good point, and I've seen stories or rumors or speculation. I don't even want to call them rumors. Definitely just fan speculation that Solo would go back to Roman and the Usos, and then Rock would lead Jacob Fatu and the Tongans, because, I mean, they haven't really lost. The Tongans are tag champions right now. But everything Solo's done, it doesn't make sense for Roman to embrace him again. So, yeah, maybe we see a little, like, Solo's exiled, and he's kind of like the black sheep of the new bloodline if Rock takes over. And that adds a wrinkle to Jacob Fatu's level of power because he's, like, super loyal to Solo. Yeah, I understand your logic with, you know, they booted Jimmy because he lost at WrestleMania, so it's only fair that Solo taking all these losses results in some sort of punishment. It's a layer that we will be watching for sure, and I don't think it's going to be as black and white of a result as what happened with Jimmy.
Yeah, probably not. They might stretch that out a little bit, but I'm just saying, if one applies for one, has to apply to the other, even if he is the tribal chief with his Abel Tesfaye dressing ass. Kevin Owens, after the show, was seen backstage on fan cam attacking Cody Rhodes. This wasn't on TV. It might be shown on Raw. I'm pretty sure it'll be shown on Raw. But this happened off air. Fan cam caught it. Kevin Owens looks like he's a heel now. He attacked Cody Rhodes. That might be the next direction for us going into Survivor Series, maybe? I don't know. Like, we're heading into War Game season. Everyone's talking about War Games, Bloodline War Games. Who's on what team? Who's on Team Roman? Who's on Team Rock? Who's on Team Solo? Such and such. And it seems like everybody keeps on throwing Cody Rhodes into the fold with Team Roman. But if we're supposed to be believing that Cody's supposed to be facing Kevin Owens soon, where does that factor into things? Unless this is a SmackDown feud, which it doesn't feel like a SmackDown feud considering all they've been through in the past, like, 6 months. Where do you slot this feud in at, Liam?
It's a Survivor Series for me, and I think what they do is Kevin Owens gets, like, suspended for the next 30 days or something. Like, they keep Kevin Owens off of television because I love how they shot this angle, Tyler. I love this stuff.
I love it too.
Kayfabe is alive, brother. Like, because also, too, Triple H is so smart. He understands that, you know, when you're in an arena and 16,000 people are there, cameras are always rolling. Like, I go to concerts all the time, and I'm guilty of recording every single song. And, like, just because I want to go back and I want to relive those memories and watch the videos again. So, yeah, there are people out there who are always filming. So the fact that they did this without WWE camera crews and they've treated it like something that happened legitimately, because Triple H sent out a tweet where he said, "We are aware of the situation that took place with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. It's a private matter and it's going to be resolved internally." I love that stuff. It makes it feel so real and authentic, and the way that they're treating it makes me think that Kevin will get suspended or something, which allows Cody and Gunther to build up their program going into Crown Jewel, and then after Crown Jewel, Kevin Owens returns in some capacity and we get Owens versus Rhodes at Survivor Series, and for a good reason too. Cody needs to leave this bloodline stuff. I appreciate
he's been shackled to it for so long. Jesus Christ.
I appreciate the tie with Roman and having, like, you know, Roman versus Cody is our generation's Rock versus Austin. Like, it is that feud that every time they're in the ring together, it feels like a very big deal, and they've built that up so gradually and naturally. But at the same time, Cody just being like the happy good guy that's always gonna just help the bloodline and stuff like that just because Roman's a good guy now. Like, no, let as Roman said on SmackDown a couple weeks ago, this is bloodline business, this is family business. If and when they have their multi-man tag match against each other, whether that be in War Games or not, Cody doesn't need to be involved. That should be Bloodline OGs versus the new Bloodline. Bloodline OGs could be called the Ones. I've seen that rumor. It seems like they're gonna print those shirts. Yeah, Cody can do his feud with Kevin, and Bloodline can be strictly family business, as they say.
You know, I'm almost starting to think that it might be beneficial to Cody to be on a separate brand apart from Roman Reigns at this point, because Cody Rhodes has been tied to the bloodline for the better part of 2 years almost. And even as Universal Champion, just about all of his matches have some tie in some way. I mean, outside of his feud with AJ Styles, but once you get into Kevin Owens and all that stuff, it has some tie in some way to the bloodline. Like, it's the title itself is attached to Roman and The Rock and all this other stuff. And it's like, Cody Rhodes as a champion, I think he's had a good run. He's had some really good matches, even some great matches you can debate on. But he has not been his own champion, I feel like. Like, it's been massively supported by the big storyline happening on SmackDown. I feel like that's been a lot of the argument I've seen online, is that Cody Rhodes is, even though he's the champion, I said this earlier, even though he's the champion, he still feels like number 2 in comparison to Roman Reigns. We saw as much that he was the first entrant in their tag match, even though he's the Universal Champion. Roman Reigns should be coming out second. He shouldn't have been coming out second. And I just feel that if Roman and Cody Rhodes going into Raw on Netflix, I don't know how you pull this off, especially when there's no draft happening in the next few months, probably not until WrestleMania. I don't know if maybe you do a trade-off with Cody and Gunther or what happens there. But I think Cody Rhodes would be more beneficial to his career, that he let the blood slide. Like, you could have the match with Roman Reigns, because I feel like that's where they're heading. I don't really think they need a third match, because I don't know how you top the second match. But if you're heading towards that, get that match off. Who wins? But again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Roman Reigns doesn't ever need to hold that championship ever again. If he doesn't, I don't think you'll hear me saying anything about it. But I don't know if you do that and Roman beats Cody again. I don't quite know how you do it. Maybe Cody drops the title to Randy and Trey goes to... I don't know. But I would send Cody to another brand, so that way when this wraps up, he's no longer tied to them. Because I just get the sense that Cody Rhodes is going to be forever associated for as long as they're on the same brand with the bloodline, and it's not going to help his run much at this point. I don't know if that makes sense to you, Liam.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I largely agree in the sense of it's best for these storylines to exist separately, because they both have enough star power on their own to make their individual programs feel like a big deal. I feel like when you pack too many stars into one storyline, sure, it can help that story feel like an even bigger deal, but it also can make the rest of the card feel kind of meaningless. And I think the middle of Bad Blood did suffer from that, because there was so much star power at the top and bottom of the show. So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure. And that was Bad Blood. Overall, I thought it was a really good show. Great opening match. You know, great end segment. But yeah, that was WWE Bad Blood. Tell me you got your thoughts down below. Liam, let's loosely talk about some news that I think maybe you want to break for us here.
Yeah, well, I'm not breaking it. This is public knowledge.
I mean, true.
Yeah, I will gladly lead it. A little bit on Newsroom this week. We usually kick off the show with Newsroom, but how could we not kick off with Bad Blood, especially with it being the freshest topic in the wrestling world. But still, Newsroom this week, the big news, the big deal is AEW's new television deal. They officially announced that they have signed an extension with Warner Brothers Discovery, finally bringing an end to this story that's been developing for like 2 years now with AEW's extension. The financials have not been publicly disclosed, but they're reportedly are as follows. It's a 3-year deal with an option for a fourth year worth $185 million per year. This is over double what AEW was pulling in from Warner Brothers Discovery on its initial deal. AEW will be confirmed a profitable company as soon as next year, which is a great thing for the professional wrestling world to have a profitable promotion on weekly television and on a platform as big as Warner Brothers Discovery. And that platform just got a lot bigger because AEW Dynamite is staying on TBS, AEW Collision is staying on TNT, but both of those shows are going to be simulcast on Max, the streaming service. So we now live in a world where in January of 2025, you can watch Raw on Netflix and you can watch AEW weekly shows on Max. The streaming era of Netflix, or the streaming era of professional wrestling, has officially begun, and that is a great thing. It makes the product more available and more convenient for so many consumers, so many subscribers, and this will be a great thing for AEW's outreach and its ability to expand its audience. The one thing not included in the deal was AEW Rampage. It seems like that show will be coming to an end at the end of 2024. It could be heading to Fox. Swerve Strickland was caught on camera recently saying that there's something happening with Fox. There's going to be an AEW show that could land on a Fox network, whether that be regular Fox or FS1. Fox is missing its wrestling fix since SmackDown left, and apparently they're interested in doing business with AEW. AEW filed a trademark for a show called AEW Shockwave, I want to say.
Yeah, Shockwave.
And so that could be a new product coming to television pretty soon, or they could migrate Rampage. Who knows? And the biggest news throughout all of this, as I continue to ramble and wrap this one up, is that pay-per-views will be heading to Max. You will be able to stream pay-per-views on Max, but for a discounted price. So they will still be a pay-per-view. You'll still have to pay per view. It's not going to be changed to a premium live event, but they will be at least a little bit more affordable. And the great news on top of that is that the AEW content library will be streamable one click away. And for me personally, who loves to throw on old pay-per-views while I cook or while I read, or just want to have background noise in my living room, I'm looking forward to going through AEW's past pay-per-view catalog and rewatching some of my old favorite shows. Tyler, really quickly, of course, because we have a lot more to get to, this new TV deal, is this everything that you wanted from AEW's extension with Warner Brothers?
I mean, yes. All I've been asking for really for the last 3 years was that AEW go to Max. That way we can get, obviously, the library of AEW. Did they confirm that all the previous year's Dynamites will be on Max?
I believe so. It's like the whole AEW content.
That's
library.
really what I wanted. Because the thing is, AEW, though it's been going for 5 years, has had no home for their previous episodes of Dynamite. Basically, you watch Dynamite that weekend. If you didn't catch it, you're going to have to go on YouTube. You're going to have to go to some illegal streaming website to catch it, because you can't, unless you DVR'd it, if you have cable or if you have like a streaming service, unless you DVR it, and after a while your DVR does expire, so it doesn't hang on there forever, you can't watch Dynamite from 2021. What if I want to relive CM Punk's AEW run? I can't do that. So this is to the benefit of those fans that want to go back and finally relive those moments from Dynamite, from Collision, rewatch the pay-per-views without having to worry about, oh, I got to pay for it again, or I have to go to this website. Like, it's all on one central site, and that's what I've been begging AEW to do for the last few years. I mean, I know it's not up to AEW, it's up to Warner Brothers, but I'm happy that it's finally happened. AEW staying on TBS is a good move. Collision staying on TNT is a good move. Rampage is, you could do whatever you want with Rampage at this point. I don't think anyone really cares no matter where it goes. If it heads to Fox, is AEW Shockwave repackaged? Cool. Is anybody really going to be dying to see it? I doubt it. Tony Khan seemed to just stop caring about Rampage a while ago. So, yeah, whatever happens there, happens there. But that Collision, Dynamite being on Max, the pay-per-views being at a discounted price, I mean, it would have been awesome for it to be, included on every single, thing you have on Max for the price you pay for Max. But listen, if I'm paying $20 versus $60 or $50, all right, I'll take it. But yeah, no, I'm happy with the deal. AEW, I've won it around. I never, ever, ever said that, AEW is going to go out of business in 5 years. AEW is a dying brand. Like, yeah, I've said AEW has not been of top interest from the wrestling community, myself included. It's number 2 in some ways. But I've never wanted to see the descent of AEW. I never prayed for its downfall like some of the weird Twitter warriors that happen online. And I know they were just stewing in their own piss and vinegar when they heard that a deal has been struck. Because now they have to delay the AEW going out of business news for another 3 years. So I know they're having a fun day with that. But yes, AEW, new TV deal. I'm happy. Moving on to the other side of the fence, we have WWE NXT on the CW. Liam, did you catch NXT on the CW?
I did not. Tuesdays are always very busy for me, and it's hard to squeeze wrestling into the schedule, but I did catch up on some of the highlights. Again, I didn't watch any specific matches, but the aesthetic is different, and it was cool to see NXT in a full-size arena, and I don't know how I feel about it going to like black and silver. NXT is so associated with yellow or gold or just that color. I wish, I know that there's still some yellow hues in the championships, but the logo itself is absent of yellow. That being said, it's cool to see NXT evolve once again and reach another new height and truly feel like a third brand, especially with running an arena like they did on Tuesday. And yeah, I am looking forward to seeing what this CW side brings to NXT. And it's also funny too because I saw a report the CW was hoping for 500,000 viewers, and NXT brought in, I want to say, like 875,000. And there were memes on Twitter like quote tweeting that statistic, being like, "We changed this broke boy's life." NXT to the CW.
Yes,
and that killed me.
Man, yes, I actually did watch NXT's debut on the CW. I thought it was a very good show. As Liam was saying, the show is now themed black and white or silver. Definitely a nice and different change of pace, as Liam said. It's going to be an adjustment to not having too much gold on the show. They introduced new championships, both of which I have to get used to, as I've been watching NXT since 2014, 10 years now. Maybe not consistently, but I have been watching NXT for 10 years. I'm used to the Big X in the middle of the championship, and now it's the same size as the N and the T. And I mean, I said saw people saying, it's very similar to the UFC championships, which I could see the concept of the UFC championships going into that title. And I mean, I feel like the title looks kind of basic now. Like, it doesn't really have much of an identity as much as it did before, and even before that when it was the Big X NXT title. But like I said, I think it'll be an adjustment. On the show, I'll loosely go through the results here. Julia made her debut. Oh, no, she didn't make her debut. Her second match against Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship. I thought it was a good opening match that saw the return of Cora Jade, who ran in and attacked Julia and helped Roxanne Perez win the match. They're trying to tell you to your face that they're not friends, even though they damn near look the same, dress the same, both have black hair with purple strides, and like, come on, don't lie to me, Shawn Michaels. I know what your game here is. Wesley Zachary Wentz had a pretty damn fun street fight. I mean, if you're looking for bloody, just fun, then you're obviously going to find it in CM Punk or Drew McIntyre. But if you're looking for a car crash fun, you're going to find it in Zachary Wentz and Wesley. Wesley got the win there. Wasn't too shocking, because how often do TNA talent win on NXT during this deal they have? The Fatal Influence, they defeated Jada Parker and Lola Vice. That was a pretty nothing match. And Trick Williams versus Ethan Page with the NXT Championship on the line, and CM Punk as special guest referee, was a decent, fairly good match with a weird finish. But, I said already, I don't know if it was a miscue or what, but Ethan Page went for his razor's edge or whatever he calls it, and CM Punk kind of catches Trick Williams, although slowly, puts him into the corner, and this leads to Ethan Page going for a move. He misses, and Trick hits the knee and gets the pin. I thought the whole sequence was weird, but Trick Williams is your new NXT champion, which I figured he would be coming out of this show. Actually, no, I think I predicted Ethan Page would win, but towards the end, like as showtime neared, I'm like, I feel like it's gonna be Trick, and he did win. I thought the show was good. The next question I think I would have is, what's next for Ethan Page after this? I think their feud should be done. I mean, they've had 3 matches, not counting the Fatal 4-Way match. Ethan Page has been in NXT since May, I want to say. It's been 4 months. I think he's had a really good run at the top. I think the only place he can go is either fall down the card or go to the main roster. I mean, Liam, what do you think happens with the fate of Ethan Page after this?
Ethan Page has really surprised me with his NXT run. I always thought Ethan Page thought he was a lot better than he actually was. And little did I realize he just needed the opportunity. And Ethan Page in NXT has been awesome. I've become a huge fan, and I never thought he had this in him with what we saw from him in AEW and TNA. He was in Impact Wrestling for a minute, teaming with Josh Alexander in a tag team called The North, which was actually pretty fun to watch. Anyways, Ethan Page, I hope sticks around in NXT. He's a good character to have. He would get lost in the shuffle on the main roster right now. It's hard for the main roster to make room for NXT call-ups just because an NXT guy is ready for the main roster doesn't mean the main roster is ready for a new NXT addition. So with that being said, I hope he sticks around in NXT and has some feuds with he's got the stuff with the Metaphor still that's unresolved, or Mensa, I believe. So yeah, either way though, he's a great character, and I'm very happy that he has found himself within NXT.
Yeah, I could definitely see Ethan Page sticking around for a little bit longer in NXT, but I think he might be coming up as early as the Rumble in February. I can easily see Ethan Page being slotted into a Miz role on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. I was very impressed by his run in NXT so far, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for the former AEW talents. Or TNA talent, depending on which brand you watch, which show you watched. We now talk about AEW Dynamite, the 5th anniversary. Liam, did you watch the show? And if so, what did you think?
I did not watch Dynamite live, and why did I not?
Fake fan.
Oh yeah, I was busy. I was busy Wednesday with a private commitment that I will disclose when I'm ready to. That's a little tease. It's a good thing. It's something I've been working towards for a while. And when the time comes, you will all know, and that's all I'll say for now. Anyways, I did catch the highlights. You already know, Tyler. We've talked about this off camera.
Yeah, barely. I had to pull it out of you. But anyway,
I'll keep you posted. I'll give you an update after we stop recording. No, but Dynamite 5 years. I caught the replay on YouTube. I caught Osprey Ricochet. I caught some of Okada Danielson and Juice Robinson. I got to talk with Juice a couple days before his match against Hangman, and it was a really fun interview. It gave me a lot more reason to be invested in the match, and it was great to see Jay White back. Like, Jay White is a star.
Yeah, brother.
He's got one of the best tans in wrestling. He's got one of the best physiques in wrestling. He's a great promo, and he's oozing charisma. I'm excited for AEW to kind of get started with this Jay White Hangman Page feud, and I hope Jay White continues to ascend up the card and establish himself as a main event player in AEW. And again, a happy 5 years to AEW Dynamite, a show that has changed wrestling, has changed my life, definitely, and has, really helped catapult wrestling back into the mainstream. And not a lot of people give AEW the credit it deserves for making wrestling cool again. But without AEW giving the push for WWE to light that fire of competition, I don't think WWE would be as strong as it is today without having the competition from AEW. The same way that WCW brought the best out of WWF in the Monday Night Wars, I think AEW has brought the best out of WWE, and vice versa, as AEW continues to grow and WWE continues to put on better shows, it challenges AEW to step up their game. So a happy 5 years to Dynamite. I'm a huge fan of the show. It's still, for my money, is the best in-ring wrestling show of the week every single week. And I'm looking forward to at least another 3 years of Dynamite on TBS and on Max.
Yeah, Dynamite reached its 5th year, and I've been watching AEW since the very beginning. Albeit maybe a little bit less than the last 2 years, but I'm always gracious and thankful that we have an alternative to WWE in AEW Dynamite that you can surely watch every single Wednesday. We've had some great matches, we've had some great feuds on the show. On this show specifically, AEW Dynamite 5, the opening match, Will Ospreay versus Ricochet, was a highly anticipated matchup. Did it live up to expectations? I'm gonna say halfway it did. I expected it to be a spectacle, and it was. I think for the most part, the match is a big rehash of matches we see them have already, with a little bit of inclusion of Will Ospreay being a heavyweight, so he's able to kind of throw around Ricochet at will when he wanted to. There were some gnarly spots in here, but the ending, I think, is what's really memorable about this match, because Ricochet hits a Poison Rana on Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay follows back with a hidden blade, and I don't quite know how they fell on each other like this, but Ospreay hits it, and I don't know if Ospreay falls on Ricochet or Ricochet fell on Ospreay, but both men's shoulders were down in the middle of this pin, and the referee counted with 2 hands, 1, 2, 3. The bell rung. We all looked at each other like, what the hell? The crowd started booing, and rightfully so, because it was a dumb finish to begin with. And I feared going into this match that they were going to do a time limit draw, but honestly, this was worse than a time limit draw. A non-finish with a draw. I thought it was the dumbest finish they could have went with. Now, thank God they decided, we're gonna continue on the match I don't know if it was after they realized how bad the fan reaction was in the arena, or if they had it planned out. Not too sure, but they decided to go for a couple more minutes before there was an interference from Konosuke Takeshita. So even then, there still wasn't a complete finish to this match. That was probably the most upsetting thing about this, was that there was no complete finish. And again, I didn't entirely anticipate there to be one, but I feel like they could have went about it a few different ways. Now, it did lead into the announcement that we will be getting Ricochet versus Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita at Wrestle Dream, which will be a fantastic match. But it's an awkward way to get there. Hangman Page versus Juice Robinson. Didn't really catch it, but Jay White is back, and I'm happy about that. Britt Baker versus Serena Deeb. Kind of a nothing burger there. Britt Baker won. Private Party, they squashed the Iron Savages to kind of make their presence known. I think they got attacked afterwards, so yeah, I guess. And then the main event, Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada. Both titles on the line except Kazuchika Okada's Continental Championship is on the line for only the first 20 minutes. Now, I almost forgot that the rule of the Continental Championship is 20-minute time limit. So when I first heard of this, I said, what the fuck? But then I thought about the rule, and I said, okay, that sort of makes sense. I'll bite with this idea. Nobody bought that Danielson was actually going to beat Okada in the first 20 minutes, and he didn't. Okada celebrated that he retained his title in that 20-minute spot. And then they proceeded to go for another 11 minutes, which was good. But Okada and Danielson have this really odd thing where they have somewhat great matches, but also somewhat not. Especially like in this match, it was like somewhat good, somewhat kind of what I already saw from these two and expected from these two. But Danielson came out with the win, and he retained his world title. And they went off air with Danielson and Moxley, and yeah, that is the match happening at Wrestle Dream in 2 weeks. Wait, no, it's this weekend, right?
Wrestle Dream?
Is it this coming weekend?
Jeez. Is it? No. No, it's October 19th, I want to say.
Are we sure? Because I feel like the thing said next Saturday for AEW Wrestle Dream.
Let's find out right now.
It is.
Yeah, no, it's
Saturday.
it's this upcoming Saturday. We're talking Wrestle Dream next week.
Oh damn, man. Oh damn. I think we almost forgot to do predictions for it. Shall we do flash
Yeah,
predictions?
let me even see what the card is.
I think we only got 7 matches on the card, but I feel like we gotta do some flash predictions because I literally just remembered Wrestle Dream as this coming Saturday.
All right, ready? I'm gonna go rapid fire. Mark Briscoe beats Chris Jericho. Darby
Whoa,
Allin
whoa,
beats
whoa,
Brody
whoa, whoa,
King.
whoa! You gotta at least say what
Jack
the match
Perry
card
retains.
is. You gotta see what the matches are first before you make your predictions.
I'm saying the matches as I'm predicting them.
Well, say the match
All right,
and then
all
the
right.
prediction. Don't say the prediction.
Okay. It's late on a Sunday, Tyler. You gotta let me be. All right,
Oh.
Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho for the Ring of Honor World Championship. I think Mark Briscoe wins. Who do you got?
I think it's probably going to be but Mark Briscoe. I don't see Chris. No, I wouldn't be too shocked Chris Jericho won, but I'll stick with Mark Briscoe.
All right, Darby Allin versus Brody King in a singles match. I got Darby.
Don't care, but Darby Allin.
Hey, Brody King's cool. We like Brody King.
Yeah, listen, they were saying, open challenge. I thought it was going to be a surprise. No, it's Brody King. Like, okay, I've seen this match already, so yeah, don't care, but Darby Allin.
Jack Perry versus Katsuyori Shibata for the TNT title. I got Jack Perry.
Jack Perry, unfortunately, but it should be Shibata.
Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Konosuke Takeshita for the international title. I got Ricochet pinning Takeshita.
That's funny. I got
Ospreay
Takeshita pinning Ricochet.
Okay, interesting. So
So
Ospreay
either
loses
way,
the title.
Ospreay loses without getting pinned.
Yeah. Young Bucks versus Private Party for the AEW World Tag Team titles. I got Private Party in this one.
Really?
Yes.
That's a bold prediction. I really want Private Party to win, but I got the Young Bucks.
Young Bucks are stale right now, and Private Party beat them in those early Dynamite days when in the tag title tournament. And also, too, I like how Moxley did the whole like attacking the originals who haven't moved up in the card. I think Moxley lit a fire under Private Party by doing that, and I would love to see them get the titles. Mariah May versus the Title Tuesday winner. This is what Wikipedia says. Do we know who those options are?
I don't
Britt
know.
Baker is one of them.
I
hope-
hope Mariah
I hope
May,
it's not
no
Britt
matter
Baker.
what.
Yeah, Mariah May retains. And then finally, right now, main event: Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Title.
We don't know how this ends, Liam.
I don't know.
Liam, really, Liam? You think
don't
Bryan's
know.
retaining? You're not still dead set on Bryan and Darby, are you?
No, but I just like, is
This is it.
Bryan Danielson retiring in less than a week? I'm not ready for this.
Liam, this is it. This is it.
Oh no. Jon Moxley, champion again? His 4th reign?
Listen, I'm not begging for it, nor do I really would say I want it, but I think this is it. I think this is
I love
Danielson's
Moxley.
swan song. He's going to get basically taken off the show by Moxley, probably trying to knife him this time, Joker style. I don't quite know, but I think Moxley is going to become the new AEW World Champion for what, the 4th time?
4th time.
Damn,
Oh
man.
my god.
Can we get a new champion soon?
I don't know. I got Moxley.
I'm
I
seeing
guess.
you. I'm seeing you coming to terms with this being the end for Danielson
No,
before our very
this is
eyes.
like- No, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Man, listen, we were blessed to even have honestly and truly, I think his Danielson's run should have been over at All In. That was the perfect ending to his career. This was not post. This is epilogue for Bryan Danielson. This is epilogue.
Yeah, but I think it's lame to win the title and then vacate it and retire.
Yeah, it is,
So,
but
glad he's gotten at least
now
a
he's gonna
reign.
drop it to Moxley, and I would rather him just wanted to drop it, honestly. But yeah, my prediction: Moxley wins.
I'm not ready, Tyler. I'm not ready.
It's all right. I'll be there to get you through this. We'll
It's
get
gonna be
through this
tough.
together, brother. We'll get through this together.
Yes, we will. We will.
And if Danielson retains, I won't be sure where we're going at that point.
Yeah. Man, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, man. Saturday should be an interesting night. It shall be. But let's go into one of my favorite segments week to week. WWE, or really just draft battle. So, myself and Liam, in this draft battle series, we pick a topic and we draft 5 things from that topic to our respective teams, and then you guys will vote on it in the comments of the YouTube section or on my YouTube community page on which person do you think had the better draft. Last week, Sooplex won the first week as draft battle champion, and as we look at the results of week 2, that week was 4 Hell in a Cell matches. Tyler Sooplex with Undertaker versus Mankind from King of the Ring 98, Undertaker versus Edge from SummerSlam 2008, Triple H versus Cactus Jack from No Way Out 2000, Edge versus Seth Rollins from Crown Jewel 2021, and Sasha Banks versus Bayley from Hell in a Cell. Liam, Undertaker versus Triple H WrestleMania 20, he stole mine. Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins from Hell in a Cell 2022. New Day versus the Usos from Hell in a Cell 2017, stole mine again. Armageddon in a Cell from 2000. And John Cena versus CM Punk versus Alberto Del Rio from Hell in a Cell 2011. In favor, with 80% of the votes to 20%, with 600 votes, Sooplex retains the Draft Battle Championship. Just want to say, I knew I had this in the bag. 2-time champion, reigning, defending. We're hitting for 3 this week. This week's topic is pay-per-view cliffhanger endings. Coming off of the big cliffhanger ending that was Bad Blood, we're doing some of the best pay-per-view endings in wrestling history that had us excited for what was to come on the next televised episode. Liam, are you ready, sir? Because we're starting.
I am ready.
First.
Okay. Again, these are. I want to amend what I said. These are our favorites. These are not necessarily the best because we've been watching wrestling for different time periods, and I know that there were some banger pay-per-view endings in the 90s and 2000s that I was not watching live, and so I cannot recall how I would have felt in that moment. I can only recall how I felt watching these pay-per-views live and how these cliffhangers made me feel. So for starters, for my first pick, I'm going with Money in the Bank 2011, CM Punk walking out of Chicago with the WWE Championship. Again, this was one of the most must-see watch Raw the next night because what the hell just happened? All-time moment, all-time match, all-time storyline, and it changed wrestling into what it is today. So I think that's a pretty good 101.
That was definitely going to be one of my top picks. Number 1, I'm going to have to go with I think many wrestling fans will probably say is the greatest pay-per-view cliffhanger of all time, and that is WCW Bash at the Beach 1996, where Hulk Hogan turns on Macho Man Randy Savage and joins up with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall to form the NWO. To this very day, it is well known as one of the more famous and greatest factions in wrestling history. Without this segment leading into one of the highest viewed and highest rated and popular episodes of WCW Nitro, this pay-per-view stands the test of time for that moment. Many still reference it to this day. Hulk Hogan's heel promo, them two sweeting each other, just everything that went into it. Not many people, if anybody, expected Hulk Hogan to turn heel at this point in his career. So for my number 1, if it can't be Money in the Bank, which it probably would have been, it's got to be WCW Bash at the Beach 1996.
Well, I thought we were only doing WWE shows, so now since you opened up the WCW variable, I am going to go into my AEW bag for my second pick.
Shit, here we go.
All Out 2021, come on, man. Bryan Danielson's debut. Well, first off, Adam Cole's debut, joining the Elite. Bryan Danielson comes out. Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross on the call, just clearly living in the euphoria of how awesome professional wrestling can be. Because I think it was Jim Ross who was just like, I love professional wrestling, or just you can tell when commentators say things that aren't necessarily scripted, or they're not trying to just recap what's happening in the moment. They're just letting their emotions fly. And that was so apparent when this moment happened. I remember where I was watching this pay-per-view. I actually have my live reactions. I did like a reaction compilation on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to go and see younger Liam, geez, that was 3 years ago. Oh my God. See a twinkle of hope and happiness in that kid's eye. I'm fighting every day to get it back. But anyways,
Welcome
All
to
Out
adulthood,
2021. All Out 2021 is a banger pay-per-view, top to finish, and man, did it make me so excited to watch Dynamite that Wednesday.
You know, All Out 2021 wasn't even on my list, but now that you bring it up, it really brought back such an exciting memory of, we already saw CM Punk's debut, but now it is the debut of Adam Cole, and then followed by Bryan Danielson. It's a legendary, honestly, the greatest pay-per-view in AEW history to this day is All Out 2021. But Liam, I'm going to follow that up with an AEW pick of my own that wasn't originally on my list until you brought up AEW. And that was, if you're going with one of the greatest, I'm going to go with the first. I'm going to go with AEW Double or Nothing 2019. The end of the match being Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. Chris Jericho defeats Kenny Omega in this match, and he's demanding a thank you from the crowd. I'm there in the crowd. And out from the rafters, like his old days in the Shield, comes Jon Moxley, who at this point, fresh in New Japan, fresh off of his, like, only several months removed from being released from WWE, Jon Moxley, Dean Ambrose is in AEW. This moment solidified that AEW is a dominant force to be reckoned with. We already know Kenny Omega's in. We already know Chris Jericho's in. We already know there's a lot of indie guys coming in, some New Japan talent. But nobody expected this big former WWE... Well, let me not say nobody, because people were anticipating it. But who would have thought that a humongous name in WWE like Dean Ambrose would join AEW? It was crazy. It, to this day, it still stands the test of time as one of AEW's key and pivotal moments. So my number 2 has got to be the first Double or Nothing in 2019.
I can still hear Jim Ross's call.
Hey!
What the hell? What the hell? So good.
Jon Moxley! Now Jim Ross is like, Jon Moxley.
Yeah, Excalibur, Jon Moxley, so good. Yeah, that again, it made you feel the tides turn a little bit in the wrestling world, similar to All Out 2021. That's a great selection. My next pick, this is my third pick. I am going to go. Looking at my list here, I'm gonna go WrestleMania 31, Heist of the Century. Seth Rollins cashing in on Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. First cash in to happen at WrestleMania. First cash in to happen mid-match. Like, this is something we had never seen before. Like, Lillian Garcia announcing, like, therefore this will now be a triple threat match, and commentary being like, what the hell? That's part of the Money in the Bank rules? We didn't know that. And Seth, you know, it's a little bit of a battle, and then he eventually gets the 1, 2, 3, runs up on the ramp. Great call by Michael Cole, Heist of the Century. He does his, like, whip the belt around his head celebration, and again, it just made... It was something none of us anticipated. We were all dreading Roman Reigns being crowned way too prematurely, and this was a great way of WWE making the best out of a poor situation they put themselves in, and it made me, again, want to watch Raw the very next day. So, Heist of the Century, WrestleMania 31.
Yep, listen, WrestleMania 31 is obviously a tremendous pick, and, you know, we already went number 2 AEW to AEW. Since Liam wants to choose a WrestleMania match, number 3, I'm going to go band for band. I'm going to go with WrestleMania 39, the ending to Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, where many thought in that arena that this is the end of Roman Reigns' 2-year-long reign as Universal Champion, only for Solo Sikoa to interfere in a match, stab Cody Rhodes in the throat with a Samoan spike. Roman Reigns hits the spear, and to the shock of every person in that arena and all the people at home, Roman Reigns retains the Universal Championship. To this day, it is one of the more shocking endings to a WWE pay-per-view, because me and many people thought this is the end. They got to put the title on Cody, and we didn't get the title being coronated on Cody Rhodes until a year later, and maybe it was better off that way. But I think when we're talking about pay-per-view cliffhanger endings, the ending shot of Cody Rhodes having that disappointed look on his face, while in the background you see Roman Reigns raising 2 titles above his head with power going off, and you're wondering what's going to happen on Raw, what's going to be end results of this. That goes down as one of the more crazy and just emotional endings to a WrestleMania in recent times. So my pick, WrestleMania 39.
It's a great pick. Again, yeah, shocking. No one saw that result coming, and it laid the foundation for what would end up being, for my money, the greatest WrestleMania ending in history, that being WrestleMania 40. But WrestleMania 40 was not a cliffhanger, so we are not including that in this draft. For my 4th selection, I got a couple here that I enjoy, but I'm not crazy passionate about. You know what? I'll go with one that I got to experience with my friends. Survivor Series 2023, CM Punk making his WWE return. We were joking throughout the entire pay-per-view of like, oh, that's a CM Punk reference. He's totally coming back tonight. Ah ha ha, ah ha ha. And so literally we all got worked so hard. That signature popped up. The camera was zooming out. We're like, oh, that's it. No, no CM Punk. Of course there's no CM Punk. There's no way they would ever bring him back. And then you hear it, and the Cult of Personality hits. What a crazy pop. All my friends knowing how much I love AEW, and they are like WWE diehard defenders, like the meme of like stand up for WWE. That is my friends back home. And so they were all like raining on me, and I was like, man, I'm happy to see CM Punk, the CM Punk I grew up with, that being WWE CM Punk back. But I almost couldn't even enjoy it because so many of my friends were like, and AEW loses, and I was like, shut up, like, let's just enjoy wrestling. But still, absolutely shocking cliffhanger ending. And again, the name of this game, did it make me want to watch the company's TV show the very next night, the very next week? Absolutely. I did not. That was one of the first times I made Raw priority viewing. I had to see what CM Punk had to say, and what a special moment it was.
No, that was definitely a great pick. It's, a little bit of recency bias there, but no, I agree 100%. Now, I have a big choice here because as we end the near of our draft battle, it's always important to end strong. You can start off strong, but if you don't end strong, that could cost you the draft battle. I'll, Liam the last 2 ones. So the question is, do I go with a personal pick or do I go with the cheap pop pick? I think I might
go personal. This is favorites. Come on, don't do cheap pop.
All right. I'll go with personal pick. I'm gonna go with New Japan Pro Wrestling New Japan Cup 2020 Finals. Tetsuya Naito versus Evil in the finals of the New Japan Cup. Mind you, in the one, no. Tetsuya, no, that's Dominion. It was Sonata versus Evil in a New Japan Cup Finals. Correction there. We get to the finals of the Cup. One side Evil, one side Sonata. Both members of Los Ingobernables de Japón. Evil at this point has already been cheating throughout the tournament. And the real question now is Evil willing to cheat against his tag team partner and LIJ stablemate to make it to the finals to face basically the leader of the same stable in Tetsuya Naito? They were having a fair match, and then Evil out of nowhere stomps Sonata in the dick and hits him with everything he's able to get the pin. He turned heel on his stablemate. It was shocking. I don't think too many people saw it coming. I mean, now, mind you, because he already had been cheating, it wasn't out of the realm of possibility that he would do it, but it was shocking that he did it to his tag team partner that he's been tag team champions with, that he's been teaming with for well over like 5 years at that point. And all this to get to the finals is like, that's kind of crazy. And we get to this part where Naito and Sonata, they're in the ring with each other, and so Tetsuya Naito is a little iffy on this whole entire situation, but Sonata puts his fist up in the air like, hey, yeah, we're gonna, not Sonata, Evil, I keep mixing up names. Evil puts his fist up in the air like, yeah, let's do the LIJ fist bump. And Naito's hesitant because obviously you don't stomp on your boy, but he's like, all right, I'll bite. And then that fist turns to his two sweets, and Evil lays out Tetsuya Naito right in the middle of that ring with everything is evil, and out comes the Bullet Club, and they give him a shirt, or I don't know exactly how the sequence goes down, but Evil makes it apparent that he has joined the Bullet Club. All of this happened in one singular segment. Now, New Japan Pro Wrestling in 2020, we can all say, before COVID, it was a hot product. Then COVID happened, and it was like a but this was a very pivotal moment because New Japan still had many fans' eyes, and people wanted to know what would come of this. And the reason why it's a cliffhanger is because the next night was Dominion. We then knew the next night Evil is now a heel, but is he willing to go the distance again? How is Evil going to look? What is his entrance going to be? Like, what is Evil going to do or even look like in this next night against Naito? In my opinion, if you're not a New Japan fan, maybe you don't get it. If you weren't watching at the time, maybe you don't get it. But it is one of the biggest cliffhanger endings of all of not all of 2020, of the 2020s. And I don't think people give it its flowers now because we all know how shit Evil's run is now. And I will admit that it is just that. But that initial turn, that initial shock will always be there. So my number 4 has got to be New Japan Cup Finals 2020.
I feel like I just got a history lesson. That was awesome. I need to tap into New Japan more. Yeah, that's. I remember hearing all about the Evil Bullet Club era being like a massive failure, and it honestly, the way you describe it reminds me of like when Austin turned heel and aligned with Vince McMahon. Of like, it was a great moment, and people still praise that pay-per-view ending. Cliffhanger, not on my list, but obviously didn't turn into what people wanted it to be. I am conflicted with what I do with my last pick, but Tyler, you honestly inspired me to go with the personal route rather than the cheap pop. I'll say what I would have picked, and then I'm going to say what I'm actually going to pick. I was going to pick Money in the Bank 2021, John Cena's return. Amazing pop, him standing opposite Roman Reigns. Great moment. Cena's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. However, I wanted to diversify my list a little bit, and since Tyler, you got 3 companies on yours with WCW, New Japan, and WWE, I'm going to add a third company onto mine because I got WWE, I got AEW. I'm going to throw a TNA one in there. I'm going to go TNA Lockdown 2013. Okay. I am an Aces and Eights defender. I loved the Aces and Eights storyline. No. I loved it. And God. The fact that this storyline culminated at Lockdown, Bully Ray revealing himself to be the president, cheating to beat Jeff Hardy to win the TNA World title. How awesome is it also to see lifelong tag wrestler Bully Ray get a world championship for a major promotion? That was great. Him aligning with Aces and Eights, him telling Hulk Hogan and Hogan's daughter on the outside that he was using them and he screwed them over. And also, again, I love when this visual happens. All the fans throwing their trash in the ring, Aces and Eights inside the ring with the lockdown cage around, and all the beer bottles and cups and nacho trays and burger wrappers and stuff like that raining in, fans being pissed. I was 12 years old, so I was fully bought into the soap opera side of wrestling and not like analyzing it like a film per se. And I loved what TNA was doing with Aces and Eights. I thought the vignettes they filmed and the backstage promos they shot were so cool. And leading up to this pay-per-view, I was so like, what is going to happen? I thought that I never would have saw Bully Ray coming. Now as an adult and I go back and I rewatch the clips, it was obvious from the jump. But back then I was like, who is the president? Like, Bully Ray's been attacked by Aces and Eights. How is he going to be aligned if he is aligned? And then he was aligned. And I love this stuff. I love early 2010s, late 2000s TNA. It is near and dear to my heart. So diversifying my list, playing your game, and I look forward to the 5% of votes that I receive for this draft battle.
Oh no, man, you may have lost people there with Aces and Eights. You lost me a little bit, but my number 5, I'm gonna end out strong, and that is with WWE SummerSlam 2014. Brock Lesnar absolutely squashing and decimating John Cena with 16 German suplexes and an F5. It is a fashion in which we have never seen John Cena lose before, and people to this day still remember that ending shot of John Cena taking the third F5 and getting pinned, and everyone is just like, that's it? That's John Cena just loses like that? Like I said, at this point, we have never seen John Cena take a loss like this. I don't think we've ever seen someone to that size that John Cena is, take a loss like that ever again. Because I don't recall Roman Reigns ever getting jobbed out in that fashion. So that might have been the only time. And I think it was honestly the passing of the torch for John Cena. Because after that point, John Cena was really never the guy again. Like, it really was Brock Lesnar and then Roman Reigns. Like, John Cena after that point, yeah, he was U.S. champion. He had that great run, but he wasn't WWE champion again until 2017, and he only held the title for 3 weeks. So this right here was the end of Super Cena. Like, Brock Lesnar killed it, and everybody was shocked, and people were wondering, is this the end of John Cena's career? Is there an early retirement? Is he going to shoot a movie? Nobody knew what the status of John Cena was tonight. It was a must-watch Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam. Everyone who watched that pay-per-view remembers where they were when they saw that, and for that reason, I gotta go with SummerSlam 2014 as my number 5 pick. So looking at the list right now, Liam has Money in the Bank 2011, AEW All Out 2021, WrestleMania 31, Survivor Series 2023, and TNA Lockdown 2013. Team Sooplex has WCW 1996, AEW Double or Nothing 2019, WrestleMania 39, New Japan Pro Wrestling's New Japan Cup Finals 2020, and WWE SummerSlam 2014. Who do you guys think wins draft battle? Comment down below. Go ahead and just say Sooplex wins. We already know who won this week. We're 3-time champion over here. Can't wait. Also, if you guys have any suggestions for what you guys want to be for a draft battle topic, please leave them down below as well. We would love to see what you guys suggest we talk about. It doesn't have to be just wrestling either, but we appreciate any feedback on that. Now, Liam, let's hop into the mailbag. We got 2 questions here. We'll try to make quick work of them that we're not here all day. The first question is a pretty polarizing one, and that is from BRAR.20, and it says, what do you make of the Triple H is racist dialogue that is going on right now? So obviously there is a lot of diversity on this podcast, so you will hear some different inputs. Liam, would you like to give your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be transparent. Like, I don't know how much I can personally comment on this because my life experience is different. Like, I'm Irish. I don't have any African American genes in my family tree, like anywhere. So this type of stuff doesn't affect me, and I don't notice it like other people do. I will say, usually, I agreed with what he said at the post-show press conference about, like, it should always be about talent, not race, ethnicity, gender, nationality, all that kind of stuff. That should always take precedence. However, it is a little strange that it's been like, I think it's been like nearly 2 years since a black male wrestler won a singles match on a pay-per-view. That's a lot. That's a long time. I don't think Triple H is racist. I think that is a pretty big leap to make. But they can clearly do better with booking, and so here's hoping that fans who are affected by this kind of stuff don't continuously feel affected by this stuff going forward. WWE has plenty of great talent from all different walks of life, and I think they do a pretty solid job of showcasing that talent. Like, we live in a WWE today that has so many superstars from Australia and Europe, and from the Lucha Libre scene in Mexico and South America, and there's not much more I can add to this other than I don't think that Triple H is racist, but I do think that it is a little odd that it's been this long, and here's hoping, again, those that feel this stuff and notice this stuff way before it becomes like a trend on social media, that it gets resolved sooner than later.
Liam, I think, has kind of echoed a lot of the points that I share. I know as a black brother, I know some people have been asking my thoughts on this whole discussion. And I've honestly have not really been wanting to talk about it, not because I'm avoiding it or anything, but because I don't really feel like there's too much to add onto this conversation. I mean, firstly, I don't think Triple H is a racist. Has Triple H done some racially motivated segments in the past? Yes. And I hate to use the tagline, it was a different time back then, but it really was a different time back then. And I don't know Triple H personally. I can't tell you for sure that he isn't a racist, but when I see the way he treats black talent in terms of on TV, in terms of what we see on social media, and just the way he books them, the way he booked them in NXT, and the way he even books them now, it doesn't come across as he's holding back the talent because of their ethnicity. I don't get that verbiage. I don't get that sense from Triple H. I think there might be some aloofness in the booking. I mean, we have seen the tweet. It's been 2.5 years since a black talent won, and like I said, I don't think it's a sense where Triple H is like, oh, this guy's a black, we're not booking him on a show. It's like I think it's just a sense where Triple H has guys that he wants to book, and they just so happen to not be black. And I don't think it's intentional. I would like to hope it's not intentional, but I just don't get that sense. I don't get that sense. And could Triple H make an effort to book a black talent on a pay-per-view and give them a win just to shut the people up? 100% he could. 100% he could. But then people go online and be like, oh, Triple H only did that as a make good. It's like, I know how y'all think. That's exactly what y'all would say. So here's what I'll say about this piece. First of all, I want to say that some of the critique I have seen online comes across as performative activism. I do understand the outrage. I understand the outcry to want to see diversity and black talent booked on TV. But the way some of y'all go online and y'all make repeated tweets about this and y'all like calling them Triple K and shit, like, yeah, it's not that deep. Triple H is not out there throwing black people with fried chicken and watermelon on TV and having them do fucking jive and dance. Like, it's not that serious. It's just they're not being booked on TV prominently. And it's not to say they're not booked on TV at all. They're just not on pay-per-view matches. And like I said, Triple H in the next few months obviously should be making an effort to make sure that we have more black talent being featured in that way. And let's not say black talent overall, because Jade, Bianca, Naomi, like the black women talent isn't the issue. No one ever said black women talent. It's the black male talent that seems to be the issue. And like I said, that is an issue that should be addressed, and I think very well can be addressed in the future. Is it something that we need to see next week, or we're going to cancel WWE? I don't think it's that deep, because honestly and truly, you could say what you want about me at this point, but up until people brought it to my attention, I didn't even notice it. I did not even notice it until it was brought to my attention that there has not been a black male wrestler booked or won since 2022. I did not notice, because in my eyes, I am watching wrestling for the wrestling. Do I want to see my brothers and sisters win? 100%. Absolutely. Do I want to see my brothers and sisters in the main event? 100%. Absolutely. Do I want to see them win championships? 100%. Absolutely. However, am I going to stop watching because there's no black talent being featured on this week's episode? No. I'm not watching specifically for the black talent. I'm watching for everybody. So as long as I'm seeing a healthy dose of it, and I feel like I am because I'm seeing black women wrestlers being featured all the time, it's like I don't see any black talent at all. If there was no black talent being booked, that's when we really should have a discussion. But there are black talent being booked. So to say, oh, well, it's just this one thing the Triple H needs to do, okay, that's something that could be improved upon in time. Is it something that needs to be done immediately, right now, this very second? No, because If you do it right now, then they're going to say, oh, well, he's only doing it right now because we just brought it up to his attention. We brought it to his eyes. And then what happens if, I don't know, Xavier Woods goes and he wins the IC championship? Oh, well, you know, Triple H was only doing it because then y'all would talk about that too. Listen, at the end of the day, I don't believe Triple H is a racist. I think Triple H is just aloof to the booking inadequacies that he has. The same way Tony Khan is aloof to some of his booking inadequacies that he has when it comes to women's wrestlers, when it comes to storylines. Bookers have flaws. Triple H's flaw here, right now, currently as we speak, is that there are not black talent being booked on pay-per-views the way that they should. It's being addressed on Twitter. It's been addressed at the press conference. Obviously, people were not exactly excited and, you know, feel like there was a breath of fresh air with Triple H's response. My thoughts on his response, I mean, he basically just said that, you know, I don't see color, and, you know, that's never the best response to say to a black person is I don't see color. And I understood Triple H is a white man, so, and no offense to Liam, but, you know, white people tend to have that mindset of I don't see color as the way of just saying, hey, you know, your race and ethnicity, you know, it doesn't matter to me. You're a person just like me. And it's like, I understand what you're saying, but the way you're saying it just, it's not the right way of explaining it. I know what you're trying to say, but it's not the way to explain it the best way to us. So when Triple H said that, I know what he meant to say, because obviously when you're black, you're around white people quite a bit in your day-to-day. So I know what Triple H is trying to say. It didn't come across the right way. And maybe he should have said it a better way. He should have said it a better way. But I understand what Triple H is trying to say. And he is right to an extent. You can't just book black talent on pay-per-views simply because they're black talent and we need to meet a quota. Because at that point, okay, do you have enough Latino talent on the pay-per-view? Do you have enough Japanese talent on the pay-per-view? Do you have enough native talent? And this, like, then you got to go into other ethnicities and other cultures. Is everybody featured? You can't fit everybody on one show. That's just a fact of the matter. You have 3 hours for Raw. You have 2 hours for SmackDown. You have 2 hours for NXT. You might think there's plenty of time, but when you look at the amount of people you have on your roster, you can't put every single person of every single color, of every single sex and gender on your show at one time. You just can't do it. Now, again, as I said earlier, it's not like Triple H doesn't book black talent at all, because he does. However, he needs to work on his featured of black talent going forward when it comes to bigger shows. And I think Triple H is smart enough to see the criticism on social media and work on that in the future. Now, if we get to WrestleMania and there still isn't any black talent on pay-per-views winning matches or whatever, all right, we can revisit this conversation. But we brought it up to his attention. He's already addressed it. We'll see what happens going forward. But the narrative that Triple H is a racist, I think y'all doing the most right now. Y'all are doing the most. Y'all had all the praise in the world for Triple H when Bianca Belair was a long-reigning women's champion, and when Triple H brought in Jade Cargill and they had the big three doing their entrance. Y'all all love Triple H then, but now we hate Triple H and he's this, he's that, he's the Grand Wizard. Like, I understand where we're going, but let's dial it back a little bit. And remember what he's already giving us currently and what he can improve on. This is something Triple H can improve on. It is not a dire situation where he is out here trying to embarrass black people or make black people feel less than or segregate black talent from the main event scene. I don't think it's intentional. We got to stop that dialogue. We're moving on. Ezra Marin 16 with the final question says, where does Drew McIntyre go from here? Liam, I want you to go because that kind of got me riled up.
Drew McIntyre, I don't want to say goes away because he has momentum right now and I think it should continue. I think he could do with a fresh start, send him to SmackDown, and yeah, give him some wins. Like I think there's a healthy way to get him over to SmackDown and go from there.
Yeah, I agree with Liam. I think his time on Raw is kind of done already. He didn't win the World Heavyweight Championship. He didn't, right? No.
Well, he did at Mania.
He did, but then he lost it like right away, and he didn't get it back. Drew McIntyre has been in the main event Yeah, I think he's pretty much lost the major feuds already. And I feel like he's done most of all he can do on that brand with the top guys. I think it's time for him to take his talents over to SmackDown, and maybe, just maybe, you could do a trade with Drew and Cody. Maybe, just maybe, you could send Drew over to SmackDown, and then you could put Drew in the Bloodline, because there's still some history between Roman Reigns, the Bloodline, and Drew McIntyre that can be revisited there. I think it'll be a fresh start for Drew McIntyre to head over to that brand. Obviously, it's not going to be something that happens overnight. It may not be something that happens until after WrestleMania. But the real question would be, if it doesn't happen until April, what are we doing with Drew McIntyre right now? And that question, I don't really have an answer to. Because the CM Punk feud, that's got to be it. I mean, he had that brutal match in Hell in a Cell. The beads from the bracelet were dumped into his mouth. That's the footnote. That's the footnote. And with Drew McIntyre already have been World Heavyweight Champion, contending for that title, he can't go into the world title scene right now with Gunther. That just won't work. The U.S., right? The U.S., no, the IC title scene has Jey Uso in it. You can have Jey and Drew revisit their feud from earlier in the year with Jey as IC. You know what? That might be a possibility, considering now Jey's a champion and Drew's a challenger. That could be something we could talk about. Jey and Drew, IC championship.
Just don't put Drew in a feud that he's gonna lose.
Well,
like,
if that's the case, then forget about it, because you can't have Drew beating Jey. Not this soon.
Exactly. So then don't mix them up. Like, I would want, if Drew's gonna go after Cody on SmackDown, Cody better be prepared to lose that title, because Drew's lost too much this year. He needs to get a win the next time that he's in a feud.
Do you see a Rumble win in 2025 for Drew?
I would love that. I would really love that. I don't know if he's in world title plans at WrestleMania.
I don't know. There's a lot to bite on with that one. I'm going to say probably not Rumble 2025, but 2025 will be a very big year for a lot of wrestlers. Guys, that was Sooplex episode 5. Thank you all for listening again. I have been Sooplex. Liam has been Crowley. We will talk to you all for episode 6, where we will cover AEW Wrestle Dream 2024, and everything else in the world of wrestling. That being said, guys, have a good night.